Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to understand how do we identify the elements using XPath. Okay. So when I say XPath, so far you have used various different locators. Okay. So what are all the various locators you have used? ID, name, and then class name, and then you have used link text, partial link text, and a CSS selector. These are all some of the locators you have used, and the tag name also. So now if I have to make use of XPath, if you are not able to identify with any of the regular elements, then you can make use of the XPath directly. So directly when I say XPath, there are two categories of XPaths. One is absolute XPath and the next one is relative XPath. So what does it mean? For example, if I have to identify this element, what I am going to do generally, so I'll be right clicking, inspect, and then click on this element. As you all know, you know how to identify the element using name ID. I'm not going to talk about that now. So you just simply right click here and then go to copy, and you will have an option of copy full XPath. This is called absolute XPath. When you copy that, control F here and put it here. So if you see, there is an element which is highlighted and the element is 1 of 1. What does it mean? If you see, the element started from the root, that is the HTML page where it starts with single forward slash. So this is for absolute XPath. If you see, there is HTML, under that there is body. See here the same thing, however the hierarchy has been defined. So HTML and there is body, under that there is div of fourth. So there might be n number of divs. So we will be going to the fourth div. So you should understand the HTML structure properly in order to understand this XPath. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how this is getting identified. See here. Now if you see HTML and then body and the div4, under that there are another divs, under that there is first element, under that there is a table, under that there is a t body. So t table, this is called t body. Tr stands for table row, td stands for table data. That is the first one. So we will discuss how we have to identify this HTML page in a separate topic, but as of now you just try to understand in a simple manner. Whenever you try to click on this element, right click, copy full XPath, and then here if you type that, automatically it will recognize the element. So similarly, if I have to do with relative XPath, so relative XPath means you should not use the root element. That means we no need to do it from the scratch. Wherever the element is available, so from here you can identify that XPath. Using that element, using the XPath, you can use the identify the element. How do you do that? So right click on this copy, there is another copy XPath, and then paste it here. See here, relative XPath starts with two forward slashes and then there is a star symbol, and then you are going to identify with @ID is equal to email. @ID is equal to, if you see the ID property has been given, is equal to email. So this way you will be able to identify the element using the relative XPath. So what is the difference between the absolute XPath and relative XPath? So if I go and show you both of them, see here, I'm just opening a notepad, and let me take the relative XPath first. This is my relative XPath. XPath. And if I have to take the full XPath or absolute XPath, it will start with single quotes, and then the entire structure will come. For example, if there is a reason where they might have, the developer might change the user ID element from this particular place to some other place. Let us say this is your application and they don't want to do it here and they might move it to some other place. In that case, the div class may change. So instead of div4, it might be there in div2. In such cases, your full XPath may not work properly. It depends on how your developer align the application in the screen. So based on that, this will be defined. But if at all you are using only the tag, that is, you are using @id and then you are using email, so wherever the element on the screen, there will be only one element. In that case, it will be able to, you will be able to identify that element easily. So that is how the difference between absolute and relative XPaths. So if somebody asks you what are all the different categories of XPaths you have, then our answer should be there are two categories of XPaths. One is absolute XPath and the next one is relative XPath. And you should understand, most of the cases we will go with relative XPath only. And now if I have to write the basic syntax for XPath, let me write the basic syntax for the XPath. So first you need to understand how do you write the XPath. You will be writing two forward slashes, the tag name, whatever the tag name you have, and then square bracket @attribute is equal to, within the single quotes, the value of the attribute. So let's say if I have to use this, let's say if I have to do it for the same element, see here, input is my, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this two forward slashes, input. See, that got highlighted, and then that is my tag name, and then @id is equal to, so id is equal to, what is that id? You just go and see what is the id. Id is equal to email, and then single quotes, square bracket. See, you are able to identify the element. So when you are copying it, you might get the star, whether you have it or not, it doesn't matter, but it, this is the regular syntax for the element. Okay, so this way you will be able to identify the element directly when you have the item star. But if you have to write the XPath directly, you have to make use of this syntax. You have to make use of the tag name, and then you will be writing and whatever the attribute you wanted to use, and then you will be writing the value. So this is for writing the XPath. But whatever I have copy pasted here, there they are directly taking it from the attribute. See here, if you give star and then you're writing the attribute value, then that means it is not looking for the tag name. But what we are trying to do in the XPath, we will be giving the tag name, and then, so this is what a regular syntax, everybody will expect you to write the XPath syntax. If somebody asks you, so how do you identify, can you write the basic syntax for XPath? So that would be two forward slashes, the tag name, and then you will be having a square bracket @attribute is equal to value. So what is our attribute here? Our attribute name is ID and its value is email. You can do the same thing for, instead of ID, I can take name also. There also I will be able to identify the element. Okay, so this way you will be able to recognize the elements using the basic XPath syntax. So you can write it, or you can directly make use of the copy option, and then you can do that also. So that way you will be able to identify the element. So if you wanted to identify the other element, let's say I wanted to identify the password. See here, password, you have name is equal to pass. So if I have to pass that, so then what you are going to do, you will be having PASS. Let me show you with one example, and then I will not go and run the script for all the time. So what I'm going to do is, for one element we will write the script. I'm invoking the URL driver dot find element by dot XPath, and then you are going to take this XPath, whatever the XPath you have. This is for password, and if it is for Facebook email ID, you will be taking this copy and then go here, and within the double quotes you have to write this, and then dot send keys, you will be writing abc@gmail.com. So this is how you will be making use of the elements colon. Similarly, you have to have the same thing, and then XPath name is equal to PASS. So I'm not going to click on OK button, but I'll just show you by running this script. Let's see how it is going to run. So what is the difference? Earlier we used to use by dot ID or by dot name or by dot CSS selector, all those. Now we will be making use of by dot XPath. So now if you see, if you run this script, it will invoke the application and then enter the user ID and enter the password. So that is how the script will work. Let's give a minute, and then it should invoke the browser. See, I just gave password also the same abc@gmail.com. You can give whatever you want. So our intent is to whether it is allowing entering the values into that particular Facebook application or not. So that is what we are going to see when we are making use of XPath. See here. So it opens the application and it entered the values. That is how the script will be executed. So now what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to do any execution further. So if at all the window comes here, you just drag and drop here, automatically that will get placed into your, so you can have it wherever you want. Okay, so now what I'm going to show you is, if at all you don't see that window, just go to view, show view, and then console. So the window will come here. So if you wanted to expand, you can do like this. If at all you wanted to minimize, you can minimize. If at all you don't want to see at all, you can click on that close. If at all you wanted to see again, just click on this. So then if at all you wanted to drag it to the bottom, just drag and drop here. Then automatically you will be able to see at the bottom. Okay, so you need to do a lot of practice in order to do this. Okay, if at all you're not comfortable, just do multiple practices so that you will be able to do it. Okay, yeah, see, this is how you'll be able to drag it. Now what I'm going to show is, I'll go back to the application, and then I will show other elements also. Let us say now we understand this one. Now if I wanted to do it for some other application, let us say I wanted to identify one more element. Let me take one more URL, demo dot guru99.com /test/selenium. I'm just making use of the existing resources which are already available so that you will be able to understand it easily. So now if you see this application, see here, you have something called user ID and password. So the same thing, we will do the same thing for this. Right click and then inspect. And if at all I wanted to identify the property here, so as you all know, select here, control F, two forward slashes. What is your tag name? Your tag name is input, two forward slashes. Your tag name is input, and then square bracket @ name is equal to UID. See, this is what I am taking. Single quotes and then close the bracket. This will be identified. This is how you will identify with the regular XPath basic syntax. What is that? Two forward slashes, tag name, and then at the rate attribute name and the attribute value. Your attribute value must be unique, then only it will be showing 1 out of 1, otherwise it will not show you unique value. So now what I wanted to do is I want you to identify another element. Let us say if I have to use this one, see here, user id must not be blank, user id must not be blank is this one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make use of label and then I'm going to make use of id. So here instead of input you will be writing label, and then name I don't have name here, so I'll be writing id, and then I'll be writing message 123, message 123. See, that is how it will be identified. So I'm just copying all these here so that you will not forget this one. So I'm having one more, what we have done, input at the rate id is equal to, I think name we have used, name is equal to uid and then square bracket. So that is what we have identified using the label. So you can identify the label, this one. If at all you wanted to identify the other label, see here, your other label value is, where is that? Yeah, just go and highlight this one and see message 18. So instead of this you have to write 18. So what happens if I don't give 22 or 18? See, if I have only message here, so I'm not going to identify that. So you have to give exact value, whatever is available. Message MESSAGE. Just copy and then paste it here. See here. So if I remove this one, it is not going to identify that. If I give you 22, then just see what is going to happen. What is the other one? Is it 22 or 23? So I think 23. So that's the reason it is not coming. So just give 23. It will get identified. So you can make use of input tag or label you can use, and also you can make use of, let us say if I go and identify this login, there is a value. Okay, value is equal to login. You can identify using value attribute also. So what is that value attribute you are going to do? So you're going to give two forward slashes input and then at the rate value is equal to login and then square bracket. So you need to make sure the spelling is correct, whatever you are making use. See, login is capital letters all, but I have given small letters. Just give capital letters, then it will get identified. So that is how you will identify the element using XPath with the value attribute also. So after that, what we are going to do is we can take one more thing related to the same application. If you see at the bottom, let's say I'll go to the first page, or else I'll take it login page. Let me take the application and then I'll try to identify the XPath for that as well, so that it would be easy for us to identify the elements for the respective application. So let me take the URL. I'm just taking this. This is another page. You can do any of those. I'm just taking the I'm looking for a link. Yeah. So if you see here, we have a link here, HERE here. So now I am trying to identify this element. See here, you already know this is a anchor tag. So if it is a anchor tag, how are we going to identify? Generally, we will do it with the link text. So what we are going to do, instead of link text, what I'm trying to do is I'm going to do with the regular XPath method. So that is you control F, two forward slashes. The tag name is A, and then you are going to have @href. Let me take that again. href. You can copy paste whatever is available here, is equal to single quotes http colon demo dot guru 99.com. Okay, so did we do something wrong? http demo dot guru dot 99.com. Two forward slashes http. You have to make sure that you are giving the right symbols. .com forward slash. Okay, whatever is here you have to give that, then only it will get identified. So this is also another way of identifying the element. I'm just having all of these here so that whenever you are practicing it will be helpful for you. So now you have one more element using class also you can do. So if at all you wanted to do with a class, let's say there is a baron is a class name. So what I'm going to do is I will simply write two forward slashes, and then I'm not going to give any tag. And then if you don't want to check for a tag, as you already know, you just give it as star, and then class is equal to single quotes baron. Where is that class? Just now we have seen somewhere. So let's say I'm going to take this Java. Let me try. There also we don't have any class. I'm just trying to figure out which one will have the class so that we will be able to identify it easily. Yeah, see here, class is equal to BARONE. So now BARONE, you should have single quotes. Got it? So this is how you will be able to identify the elements with various methods. So these are all some of the common basic methods which we use in the XPaths. And also if you see there is image also. So let's say I wanted to identify this source. So let's say if it is image, then only you will be able to identify. See here, when I click on this, it is showing as image, IMG. IMG stands for image. So when you go here, you will be seeing that. So what you have to do is you have to write that also in the XPath. How are we going to do? So our tag name is image, and then you will be writing @IMG @src, that is the source, is equal to whatever the source you have, forward slash logo dot png, forward slash within the single quotes logo dot png, single quotes bracket close. See, this is how you will be able to recognize the element. So these are all some of the basic XPaths. Like what are all the things we have seen? We have seen the basic syntax with label, we have seen with the tag name, with the label, with the tag name label, with the tag name input, with the tag name uh, anchor, and then without the tag name with star, that means it looks for everything. And then image also we have seen. So after that, what we are going to do is we are going to make use of one more thing, that is using a method in the XPath. So what is that method? Contains. So I wanted to check using this method, using our element, how we are going to identify with the contains method. So for that, what we have to do is you just need to go to the application and then select the element. See, what I'm trying to do is I wanted to identify the element with the text. So two forward slashes and then you write star. So square bracket and then the word contains. Whenever I say contains, I wanted to have the property. So name is equal to UID. So if I write contains at the rate name, comma, UID, you no need to put it under, you no need to have equal to, you just need to give a comma. See, the syntax is different. C is small letter, contains, parenthesis, at the rate name is equal to UID. Similarly, if you wanted to do it with ID, you can make use of the ID if the ID is available. So let's say I wanted to identify this. ID is equal to message 23. See, label is identified. See, one of one. So if I give message only, see here, when I say contains message only, that means there are two elements which are having this one. Let us say what is the first one and what is the second one. See, first one is message 23 and message 23 the first one, and second one is message 18. That's the reason two elements are identified. But we should not make use of this for our identification, because whenever you are trying to identify the elements, the element should be unique, then only your script will work. Otherwise your script will get confused and it will not be able to perform the operation. So I hope you're all clear on how to make use of the contains property. This is called using contains. So how do you do it? You will be writing star and then you will be writing the contains and then parameter parenthesis and then at the rate whatever the tag attribute you wanted to use, comma, and then what text it should contain. That is what you are going to make use of it. So now if I have to do it the same thing for another one, let us say we have this here, right? Look, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to identify this. So see here, this is anchor tag and then it consists the text as here. So to do this, if I have to use text proper contains method, what I'm going to do, I'm going to change within this. Text is a built-in function. So text, whatever the text it has, it should have the word HERE. So in that case, it will get identified. So this is another way. So there may be questions around your link text. So how are you going to make use of the link text using XPath? And how are you going to make use of the XPath using contains? So whatever the way, so tell me the different ways of identifying the link text. So you can provide any of these methods whatever you are aware of, but it is good to practice all of these methods so that you will not be able to uh, miss any of the questions whatever have been asked by the interviewer. So what you have to do is you need to do a lot of practice on these elements, because you may not be able to have the syntaxes, and if you know how to make use of the syntax also fine, but for the interview purpose people expect you to write the syntax during your interview. So you'll have to share your screen and you'll be doing that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of one more method, that is using or and. So I may use or and. So how are we going to make use of these two? So let us say if I have to identify, if I have to identify this element what I'm going to do is two forward slashes and then star square bracket type is equal to, see here I have two elements, login, type is equal to submit, type is equal to reset. So if I give submit or at the rate, I have taken type is equal to submit at the rate, name is equal to, I am taking name from this one. Okay, that means I am trying to identify two elements. See, it identifies the type as submit and see submit, something is missing. Just copy, paste it here. So type at the rate type you have to give. Okay, just in that case it will identify two elements. If I have these two elements here, then if I have to identify only one means I'll have to, or means if one of the statement is true, type is equal to submit means it is identifying this one, name is equal to uh, this one correct means it is identifying this one. That's the reason it is collecting two elements. If I give both the statements are true, if I use and statement, zero, because none of them are correct. What is happening, this type is submit but the name is, both should be true. If I give here btn login, then only it will work. And statement also you have to have, make it as small letters. And if at all you give the other one, because both the things are not correct, that's the reason it will not identify. So if you understand how you are going to make use of the and or statements using XPath. So in our next video we will continue the rest of the methods.